I'm delighted to welcome to Phonic FM Bernard Butler. Hello,
Hi.
Bernard.
Hi.
Now you're here playing a gig tonight with the Ben Watt Trio. So it's really nice to have you playing in the city for first time in a while, is it?
Oh God, years. Yeah, I can't remember last time I came to Exeter. Yeah,
Okay.
probably someone knows. probably 15 years ago or something. Can't tell you.
Right. Okay. Well,
Nothing personal.
We'll go
but
away and
just-
look it up. Yeah. Now I was trying to think how to introduce you, whether as a songwriter or as a guitarist or a producer, because you've actually had so much success as each of those. How would you describe yourself? What does it say on your passport?
What a musician? Yeah, musician, guitar player first. Always guitar player first. Yeah, musician. You know, I think in the way it is with songwriting and producing, really, it's best if you are a musician first. Anyway, I think most people who are producers either are failed musicians or have been musicians in any case in some way. So I don't think it's a bad thing to have it first. But yeah, I definitely put my pride in my guitar playing, and that's how I started all this. And you know, and yeah, I'm definitely very proud of my guitar playing.
Well, yeah, so everything flows to that. In fact, you regularly crop up on lists of sort of greatest guitar players ever and so on. And I've read that Johnny Marr was your real inspiration as a
When I was growing up, yeah, exactly, yeah. When I was 14, the Smiths started. Well, when I was 13, the Smiths started, and I heard Hand in Glove and heard This Giant Man and stuff. And they split up when I was 17. So if that happens between 13 and 17, they're very formative ages when you're a kid. You know, everything. I think everything happens in those 4 years of life, and then after the rest is just kind of like drizzling off, really. So I think in music, yeah. What's the theory about doing your 10,000 hours?
That's right. Yeah.
My wife was always telling me about that. You do your 10,000 hours, and the rest is just kind of like letting it all sort of drip out afterwards. And yeah, my 10,000 hours was spent listening to the Smiths, probably listening to Johnny. Yeah,
And of course, you got to play with him and know him as well. Didn't he give you one of his guitars?
Yeah, I mean, I got to know him just after I left Suede, and just as nice. He's a really, really nice fella. I mean, Johnny's very friendly, very sociable, and reaches out to musicians, and he's not afraid of the fact that people of how I guess the kind of the aura around the name Johnny Marr. He's very in touch with it. Lots of people can get very touchy about that kind of stuff and not want to hark back to things, and he's very, very comfortable with it. Very comfortable with the fact that people like all sorts of things he's done, and helping him out. I mean, at that time, I was in a bit of a mess and a bit of a messy life, and he was just really nice to me and sort of hung out for a bit. And getting to know him, I wouldn't say I've never sat around and talked about the Smiths with him. Really, you talk about life and stuff, guitar playing and records. It's been, I mean, not really. I see him every now and then these days, and when he's playing in London and stuff, and we email and all that kind of stuff. But there was a period in the 90s when we used to hang out a lot and just sit around, just listening to records and rolling around the floor playing guitar, really, and just having good fun, and it was really interesting time,
And do you enjoy knowing that you've actually had that same influence on thousands of people yourself?
I mean, I wouldn't say I know that, but it's nice if you every now and then people do say that, and it's good because the way I see it is that's what Johnny did for me. But the way I felt was that if somebody goes on and makes a good record, or is inspired as a musician to do something good, then I'd be really proud, because I think that's what Johnny gave to me. Yeah, I mean, I was just inspired to go and do something like that, and that gave me a lot of pleasure. It gave me a life, and but also just records. Not everybody's a musician, and not everybody's lucky to get in the position that I've been in, and I've had an awful lot of luck, and just things just happened, opportunities, and but the main thing about music is that it brightens your life up. You know, we all still have that, whether you're a musician or not. You know, if you love music, it's because you know you put a song on when you wake up in a bad mood, and something good comes on the radio, and you know it's like the sun's shining, and you have that moment, and it's good. That's the way it is for me, and that's the way it is for Johnny, and that's the way it is, you know, for everyone. You know, so I hope, you know, that I think you hope when you make music that you can just have that little impact. You know, make 3 minutes of somebody's day a bit better. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a nice thing, because that happens to me all the time. You know.
That's good, and it's good to know that, you know, you still get that same kick from.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I get up at 7. I'm in the kitchen at 7:30 with my kids in the morning, dancing around in my underpants to Baker Street or whatever's on the radio, you know, or waiting for a good song to play, because it makes our lives easier. Apart from anything, if a good record comes on and my kids like it on the radio, it makes my morning a lot easier.
That's true. You know. You're here today playing in the Phoenix with Ben Watt. Mm-hmm. You've also been back playing with your band Trans. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a little bit about them?
Well, it's a kind of a stop-start mission, really. It's one of those things that I feel we can make records and then not make records for 10 years and then do another one again, and that's kind of the point of it, that it doesn't follow an ordinary band structure, and we didn't sit down to write songs, form a band and write songs together, and, you know, get on the cover of the NME and all those kind of things. You know, I think the way it came out was for me and Jackie McEwen, just started hanging out playing guitar and together, and just getting a friend to play drums, and then another friend to play bass the next time. Literally, just like the one day we were playing in my studio with the drummer, and then said, should we get somebody else? Let's get a bass player down. I know so and so, and it evolved like that. And we just, as we played, without any mission, without any songs in mind, we just we recorded everything. So it was at my studio, and I set it up so I could press record and record everything. And after doing this for a couple of days, we said, let's do it again next week, and we did it again, and it got better. And what we found is we do it once a month over a period of a few months. And after this couple of days, I'd go the next day, go and listen to what we'd done, and just hear little snippets of things that I really loved. And part of the reason I loved it is because it had come out of nowhere, because we hadn't thought about it and talked about it, hadn't written anything. It had literally been first note, first take.
Right, so and just a jamming session with playing the chord press.
Yeah, we'd set up and just play. The first person hit a chord or started on the drums or whatever, and you just follow. You just have to catch the key and just follow it really naturally, whatever your instinct was. We weren't telling each other what to do either. So, you know, you might play, and these were going on for like half an hour, and we'd both play. We'd all play for a bit, and then perhaps I'd drop out, and so immediately there was a big gap, and then the others started to change because they noticed something had changed. They thought, why has he stopped playing? So maybe the drums might drop out, or then maybe Jackie might push up, you know, or then when I returned in, it might be, you know, really dynamic. So basically, the dynamics were very changeable, and the tempo is very changeable. There was no clicks, you know. So over a period of half an hour, what you'd find is the tempos fluctuate, the dynamics fluctuated. And I listened back to it, and I'd think, well, there's 2 minutes there that was really good, and the rest of it was awful. But then about 20 minutes later, this great riff kicked in. Where did that come from? And actually, if you take out the bit in the middle and join them together, this is what happens.
Right.
And you get this quite unpredictable piece of music, and which flowed, and so that's what we did, you know. So I found little riffs here and there that I remembered, and just chopped them up, but didn't chop them up in the Pro Tools, the modern method of chopping individual tracks and mixing them all up and jumbling them and making them all perfect. But actually taking a whole chunk of time effectively out in one go, taking it out and joining those 2 moments of time together. Right. You know?
Almost like cutting an old audio tape. Yeah.
Exactly, as if it was stereo audio tape, yeah. And then there's moments like there's a song Thinking About a Friend, which I really like, which
we played on yesterday's show.
Right, and it fades in and it fades out, and that's because naturally, because it happens within a period of 20 minutes of music, where that's the only time that little piece of music evolved. So that bit of music happened for about 3 or 4, 5 minutes, but then the beginning of the piece and it wasn't the end.
Right.
So it's faded in. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a blast, doing it, and we went and did some shows, and just really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed the artwork element of it. Planned the artwork really meticulously, and planned it to be something that you could think about and be quite enigmatic about. Because it wasn't as if we were going to go and do interviews and talk about songs where we talked about our, our silly little lives or something, because that's not how we wrote. I mean, we wrote vocals over the top and little ideas that are quite abstract, not abstract in the meaningless sense, but taking little sort of ideas, just thoughts, like thinking about a friend is just about the stuff that happens in my street at home. I mean, every line in it, there's a person that I know absolutely really well. They don't know about it. And there's a song, there's quite there's actually specific stories behind everything that we did, where we wrote lyrics to over the top, but the idea was it's come across as quite abstract, and so you could read something into it. I like the way dance music, I don't know dance music, but I'm always interested in dance music. Like, I talked to Ben a lot about it, because Ben did 10 years in Clubland, and I always ask him, well, what do you do, and why are people there, and what do you listen? He explains how it works, and what I like about dance music is how you get these sort of chants. You don't often get sung verses. You might get little abstract lyrics here and there scattered amongst things. They're almost like chants, and they always interest me where they come from. So I just thought that would be an interesting way of writing vocals around these pieces. So that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in a way that almost fits in with the model of releasing music as EPs, rather than the sort of traditional album cycle, if they're actually based around that kind of that format of making records. Does that?
Yeah, that's
right?
exactly it. We really like the idea of it being 12-inch vinyl EPs, and because we knew the music it was going to be quite long. There was going to be a couple of pieces that were like 8-9 minutes long or something, and we were totally comfortable with that. And but we didn't want to make an album like that and try and fit it together. And also it came from sessions, so there was the Red EP came from a period of a couple of weeks, and then the Green EP came for another period later on. So they worked together, those pieces. So we liked the idea it was an EP, that you didn't have to find the single and find the slow track and the acoustic track and all that kind of stuff. And we just really enjoyed the format. Again, it's a bit like dance music, where you have that 12-inch format. Things were extended remixes and stuff for clubs, where you'd have one track, or like the Great New Order 12 inches from the 80s that would have that would be on 12 inch because they couldn't be on any other format, and on the B side it would just be a remix of or an instrumental or whatever. I mean, I grew up on all that kind of. I mean, the New Order factor was a big factor in trance. The idea of the artwork being quite enigmatic and quite hard to decipher what was going on, or what it was we were doing, and what it was all meant to mean, when actually it doesn't mean anything. It's just some good music.
Okay. And we can expect some more?
Yeah, I'm not really sure when at the moment. I mean, my life's taken over a little bit, twist and turned, but next year I think there'll be another EP. Yeah, just can't tell when, but I don't think the world's waiting for it really.
Okay, well, I'm sure there are. Before trans, I think the last thing you actually put down as a musician, as opposed to producing, was probably the Tears. Is that about right? Yeah. Yeah. That's an interesting project for a number of reasons. Not least you getting back musically with Brett. Can you say a bit about how and why you decided to do that together?
God, how and why? I mean, he phoned me up and said, "Do you want to meet up?" And we went out, and when we got together, we weren't going to be just sort of going to the races together or something, or having dinner or something like that. It was just to meet. It's the way we've always been together. It's always, have you got any music? That's what he said. We went out. He said to me, "Have you got any music?" And I said, "Yeah, of course I have." And I sent him some stuff, and immediately said, "Well, I want to write to that." And that was it, really. And that became another song, and he said, "Have you got any more?" "Yeah, I've got loads more." "Here's some more." And it turned that, and then eventually we just thought, "Oh shit, we're gonna have to form a band or something here, or do something." I mean, it became very complicated because people got so overexcited about it, or something that you got to remember that Brett had just come out of Suede, a very successful band, very high profile, and at this point I hadn't. I was just a bloke, making some music at that point, and I wasn't in a group with management company and all the paraphernalia that goes around it, and nobody's really that interested in what I did. And I think that it just became very overexcited very quickly. It was something we just, whether naively or not, we never expected. And it put huge pressure on. A lot of people just wanted us to do things like, it was suggested several times that we just call ourselves Suede.
Oh right.
Yeah,
right.
and which it was me that said no, because I felt that I just thought, well, A, I just didn't want to be in Suede again, and B, just thought it was terribly disrespectful to the other guys in the band. I'd spent 10 years making records, and just it was like wiping out what they'd done. Just because me and Brett were back together, I thought it was terribly disrespectful, and it was people who should have known better who were suggesting it. I mean, but it was good. Promoters got excited, wanted us to go out and play Suede songs and stuff, and it was just all about that. Like, are you going to play Suede songs? And we're like, well, no, we're not. This is not the point, because he's just left Suede. If he'd wanted to play Suede songs, he wouldn't have bloody split up the band, would he? And if I did, I wouldn't have left the band. It was all. So for me, in my head, it was very, very illogical. What were people suggesting? Unfortunately, in their heads, it was very perfectly logical. Listen, you two, put you on a stage with Suede behind it, and you go and play Suede songs. We all make loads of money, and it's all easy. And I just was like, I couldn't be bothered,
Yeah,
with it all. It was a shame. I think we made a really good record. I think it was. I didn't get the production quite right, but I think some of it's really good. Some of it's really great, and there's loads of great songs we did. Did some B-side, as usual, B-sides that weren't on the album that were better than things on the album, and I really enjoyed them. We did some great shows and stuff, but it just felt getting to another record, we were just going to encounter the same problems, or it kind of felt the bubble had burst once people realised, oh right, so you're not just Suede reformed. We're like, no. Then getting to a second album would just be, people just weren't interested,
right?
And but and also, me and Brett will do stuff again, whether it's now or in 100 years' time or something. Something we always do. We keep in touch, and but he's doing this this is also just when he'd left Suede and split it all up. Now it's all reformed, and that's kind of very much the focus of his life. So things are very different at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's Suede's very much back in sort of full force blood sports.
Yeah, and it's a machine. It's a full-blooded machine out there.
I was going to say machine, but that sounded a bit.
Well, it is a machine. Doing very big shows, and it's all very high profile, and that's something I'm not involved in at all. And it's definitely the centre point of Brett's life. So but it is. But I always kind of think, write one good song. It's better than doing none.
Yeah. Well, I
make
good
one good record. Half a good record. It's better than not doing anything at all. If there's one good song, you can say that was a good song. I put that on my CD. Put it on the summer car tape or whatever. That's a good thing.
Yeah, it would go on your CD CV, would it?
Yeah, there's definitely songs on that I can't remember any of them now, but there's probably songs that I could probably remember that are thinking they were great.
I mean, you got top 10. Refugees went top 10, didn't it?
Yeah, that's a good
at the time. And I think it's interesting to hear you say that almost I
wrote that with Sophie Ellis Bextor, and the music, and she didn't get it. She's a very nice Sophie, but it wasn't for her. Which doesn't surprise me really, when I think about it now.
Oh right, it's funny when you associate a song with one artist. It's hard to imagine it and coming from another. But
yeah, well, that's happened to me lots of times. So music that starts with one person and goes to somebody else. Lots of times happens to people all the time.
And have you ever come back and reclaimed a song because you actually thought you'd like to do it better? Or?
Yeah, I've done it several times. Yeah. I won't say what, but several key moments in my life of when I reclaimed songs and thought, no, you're not having that.
Oh, right, okay, that's
tantalising. It's not like it's not normally a kind of. There's been 2 key moments in my life when I've done that, 2 key songs, but one of them was more a case of, should we do something else today? And it was forgotten about, which is lucky. Another one I had to actually get back, but yeah. But these things happen, you know. It's like these things happen when you're 14 and when you're playing with your mates. Just because you're making records and people know about you doesn't mean it's any different. You know, it happens, you know, to anyone who plays music. So
it seems with your relationship with Brett and coming back and writing some music and then going away doing other things and a feeling that something will happen again. It's, you know, you also have with David McAlmont, you know, coming together, doing stuff, coming back a number of years later.
Well, me and David have never reformed or anything, because we've never split up. We never decided to do anything in the first place. It just make a single, see what happens. It all went a bit tits up. But then we made another record. The funny thing is how me and David did do shows. We were doing gigs in like pubs and stuff like this, and no one cared at all. And then last year, when I was doing them, or this year, still this year, I was doing the marathon, and I had to raise some money. And I said to David, "Look, should we do a little show somewhere? Will you do it so that, you know, I can make, because you have to raise loads of money to do the London Marathon." And he said, yeah. And so I was thinking of doing in like a little pub or something. And then that got bigger, and eventually somebody suggested doing the Union Chapel in London. And somebody said to me, well, an agent said to me, look, we can sell 400 tickets, it holds 1,000, but we'll sell 400 including guests, and it will look busy. Should we do it? And I was like, all right, okay, we'll make the money. And then it sold out in 5 minutes. We sold 1,000 tickets in like 5 minutes, and then we put on sale the second show the next day, and it sold out. And we were like, it was really quite surprising. But they were really great nights, though. Really amazing nights. Really took me aback. Really did. They're really just absolutely perfect. Most perfect shows I could imagine. I mean, not musically, because we messed up loads of times, but even when we messed up, it was quite funny.
But music's only ever a part of a gig, isn't it? Yeah.
It would be. It's very true, yeah. And it's not always like that. And it really is with David. You know, those shows, there were moments where I came out, I was really shocked. I came out to the Union Chapel and kept my head down for the first couple of songs, and then looked out and thought, bloody hell, you know, people like this. You know, you can feel it. There was a lot of warmth and a lot of love. And by the time we got to play Yes at the end, you know, it's just really thrilling moment. I can't tell you how that feels to look out and just feel like, I know I'm playing guitar and I'm part of this, but actually I didn't really feel part of it. I felt like I was watching, you know, because I looked out and people were just happy, you know, and up, and that was what that song was always about. It was always supposed to do that for me, you know, make me feel like the great pop moments make me feel like just like flinging your arms in the air and just turning something up so loud you're so happy, you know, that those great things you hear like Dancing Queen or Be My Baby or something like that make you just like exhilarated. And I looked out and I thought, God, for some people this song is doing that kind of thing for them, you know, and I'm really lucky to be part of it. You know, you don't really think about, oh, you know, that you made this record, but you look out and you think, wow, this is good, you know.
Yeah,
just you're part of it, you know. And I looked around, I've got a string section there, and everyone's smiling, and everyone's like grinning at me. And Romeo and the girls in the Magic Mumbas were in the band with us. I'm looking at everyone, and everyone's just like grinning, and I'm just like, wow, I'm really lucky. And it was my birthday as well, and I was just really lucky. It was one of those real great moments in my life when I just thought, this is really lucky, you know. I've ended up being part of this. My son was on stage with me as well. He played a couple of songs that night, and so I was like, this is good, you know. It's that, again, what I say, those 3 minutes that just make your life before you go back to, you know, the drudgery of, you know, whatever you do, you know. Yeah. Well, so it's great, and you know, so we're going to do more of that next year at some point, somehow.
Okay. Oh, that'll be good. We'll look forward to those. And you're quite right about Yes being one of those songs, because you know, whenever we play it on the show, we always get loads of people on Twitter going, "Oh my God, I love this song." You know, I mean, we don't get that with every song.
When we came up with that, the whole point was it wasn't. I came out of a group, and a group, like I said, Suede is very much a machine, and all groups, it's not a put down, because all groups become like that. It becomes very much a machine. All the people involved and people around you, managers, road managers, crew, promoters, agents, you know, the logo, the t-shirts, the merchandise, the tour, everything's got to be absolutely in place. And I was so jaded by all of that experience. It wasn't very musical for me at that point, that what I wanted to do is just make a piece of music that just blew up and just vanished into thin air. That was my dream. You know, there was no t-shirts, there was no logo designing, there was no none of that to worry about. There was no tour. We didn't play at the time.
Right.
We barely put together an album. And
I've seen you describe that as a compilation album rather than an album.
Well, it was a compilation. The irony of it is I really love it now. It's a really, for me, it's a great record, and I think it's the way it flows is completely by mistake, the way it's put together, because it was flung together literally in an afternoon of just like, well, we'll put it in this order and just put it together and that'll be it. And now when I listen to it, I just think, wow, I really love this. It's really unusual for that time as well. Really interesting record, and it doesn't necessarily follow Yes either, but I mean, the point of it at the time was that it was just this exhilarating moment that came and went, and nothing else about it. And because, you know, I got into a lot of trouble at that time for sticking to that sort of concept really rigidly. Because we could have sold 1 million records. I mean, it was really stupid, really, because I could have just sold a load of records and made a load of money. It would have been great, but we didn't, and we really underplayed it. But I think that the karma has come because 20 years on, people cherish it in a way that they don't cherish a record that they've heard played to death, that's been rammed down their throats, that they're on arena stadium tours and everything's rammed down their throats. People just that every now and then remember that record. And they say, wow, I love this, you know, I remember where I was at this time or whatever. So, you know, job done, really.
Okay, cool. You talk about the machine, yeah. Were you able to avoid the machine when you put out your 2 solo albums? Or
not really.
Was that back into the whole process?
Again, it was a bit like that, yeah, and I fought against it a little bit. I did as much as I could and fought against it, but I'm very proud of them, you know. I mean, there's again, half of both records I really like, and half of it, you know, I could leave behind, but, you know, again, there's some great moments on both of them, and things that, you know, great things I did around that time.
I won't ask you to do it, but it would be really interesting thing to see your compilation of the best of Bernard Butler.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I really love the song "People Move On" that was on the first record, and there was a song called the song "Stay," which is a single, which is really good, and I don't know what else. There's a song called "In Vain" in it, which I really, really have always loved, which is one of the sort of slower tracks. I mean, I'd go for the stranger tracks. You know?
Yeah, but artists always do. It's
you know,
not the singles, it's some of the B-sides. And
got there. I mean, I think in the grand scheme of things, it probably wasn't the 10 million seller that people wanted it to be. But actually, when I go back, I think, that's a bloody good record. I've heard a lot worse this week. You know, I really have. You know.
So you moved... well, I don't say you moved into production, because actually you've been producing in one format or another since the Suede days, haven't you? Kind
of, yeah. I mean, the McAlmont Butler stuff I did myself, and with a lot of help from engineers and stuff. But sort of learnt that, and sort of more in the last 10 years, sort of learnt how to do it on my own, not out of choice really, just necessity. And done an awful lot of things.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking through the list of some of the bands and artists that you've produced and worked with, and there's an impressive list. There's some really strong bands on there. People like Frankie and the Heartstrings, who are a great band. Actually, did you go up to their record shop? Did I read something about that?
Yeah,
Pop Rex.
No, it's in Sunderland.
Sunderland,
it's amazing. It's a brilliant thing. What they have done is unbelievable. They're brilliant people. I really enjoyed working with them and going up to when I was working with them. I spent a lot of time in Sunderland and Newcastle recording, and it's there's no doubt about it. It's a forgotten part of the country, and it's full of great people, great ideas, great music. There's loads of great music going on there all the time, and they were really good to me. You know, it was just a good laugh. Went up there and had fun. I felt really inspired. And when the record came out, you know, they're in the situation so many bands are now, where it's, you know, it's so difficult to get on the radio and it's so difficult to get any promotion. And somebody said to them, look, why don't you just open a record shop and that will be your promotion? And they just said, oh, we don't want to do that. And they're like, go on, do it. And the Sunderland tourist office was...
There's a Sunderland tourist office?
You'll be shocked to hear this. Was vacant and was huge. It's a huge building, but it was empty. And the council just said to them, we'll give it to you for cheap. And so they set up a record shop for a month. Said, we'll do this for a month, put some bands on, get loads of... go to loads of labels and say, would you give us some stock? And we'll do it for a month. And a month became 2 months. And then it became 6 months, and they've been there, I don't know, it must be, God knows how long it is now, it must be 18 months something they've been doing it, and it's a terrific place, and they are in there, what a concept. The band are in there behind the counter working, they put on other groups, they invite other groups, they run the whole thing, it's a proper, industry, and it's good luck to them.
Yeah, I saw them play here in Exeter a couple of years ago at the Cavern, they were brilliant, but I like the idea of, they're in the band, and they're behind the counter.
Well, you do what you have to do, but you know what? They're behind the counter doing, selling records to people who love music. They love music. They're involved in it, Do what you can. Yeah,
so we've gone off into a bit of a tangent then about Frankie and the Heartstrings. But, I mean, again, you've worked with Charlene Spiteri in Texas, Fife Dangerfield, Cajun Dance Party. But I hadn't realised this, that you produced The Libertines Don't Look Back Into the Sun.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a great record.
Yeah, that's a good one, yeah. And I did the first one as well. What a Waster. Yeah. Don't Look Back Into the Sun and Death on the Stairs, yeah. That was quite a tortured experience, but ultimately rewarding because it was a pretty good record. Yeah, and I play guitar on that as well.
I did not know that.
Which not many people know because they never credited me at the time. I don't think I got credit as a producer either, actually. So, but yeah, that's probably why you didn't know and knows.
Right. And of course, you were involved in the Squillian selling Rock Ferry by Duffy. I mean, I've heard that there's loads of producers involved in that over a long period of time.
Yeah.
I mean,
the way it was, I met her and I wrote piles of songs. Must have written about 25 songs. And it was just collected over, and she wrote songs with other people at the same time. Whoever wrote the song generally produced the song as well, and they used 7 of mine, I think, in the end. And and there was other people. I mean, I didn't do none of mine were the singles, so I took a lot of the credit for it. But I didn't do any of the ones that you probably know. But I did Rock Ferry, which I love. I love the song. I love that, and it was the title track, and so that was a real nice thing. And we wrote that the first day I met her in Afternoon. Wrote and did the vocal, wrote it, did the vocal in one shot, and that was it. She didn't like it, and we wrote songs for about 3 years after that, on and off, but before it was released. Yeah, but Rock Ferry is a great moment, I think.
Okay, cool. So what's in the pipeline for you? Is production your day job now?
Not really, because you don't get. No one's got any money to pay anybody anyway. I'm working with. I'm doing lots of writing, but I mean, I could mention artists, and then I remember about 10 years ago, people used to say, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Working with this Welsh singer," and I said, "Oh, what's she called?" And I said, "Duffy." And they're like, "Yeah, who else are you working with?" And because nobody had heard the name,
right. And
this went on for about 3 years, and my friends used to say, "Are you still working with that Welsh singer? Can you not find a band to join or something?" And then suddenly everyone knew about it. So you hope those things happen. I mean, I write with lots of new artists. Been working with I've been finishing records I made about 4 years ago with Catherine and Davies. Catherine and AD, she calls herself, or the Anchoress, she's also known as.
Yes.
And me and Catherine wrote songs about 4 years ago. Never got around to finishing them, and I've just started completing them because she's terrific, and there's some great music there.
Anchoress, is she working with Paul Draper?
That's
as
right.
well?
Yeah. They've got an EP out at the moment. She's terrific, Catherine. And also I've got an album with Kate Jackson, who used to be in the Long Blondes, and years ago. And again, it's a record that never came out, just sat there, and we've just decided to get it out and finish it. So that's going to be out soon, next year, I guess.
Oh, right. So that's something that you worked on a long time ago.
Yeah, I wrote it, produced it, played guitars. Always very fuzzy guitar heavy. So it's a really good record, and Kate's brilliant.
To bring us back in the end to your gig tonight, is this the first night of the little mini tour?
Yeah, first night of the tour with Ben. Yeah, so this is great, and Martin Ditcham's playing with us, who's fantastic. Martin played on Spirit of Eden by Tour, which is one of my favourite. Yeah, well, as soon as you mention that to the right person, they kind of like their jaw drops, you know, and so Martin occasionally I had to sort of drill him about that. So that's enough for me, being in a band with. And so it's great, really, really good. So, yeah, it's the first time we played with Martin. Martin played on the record, but as a trio, just the three of us. Me and Ben have been touring all year, really, on and off together. So, yeah, I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, I love playing with Ben. It's great. It gives me a lot of freedom, and I love playing guitar in this way. I feel very free, and his songwriting is just sort of exemplary, really. Dark and really emotional, you know. Yeah, so it's right up my street. Miserable music.
Well, Bernard, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks.